Yard. It is hot. I'm gonna get this fan cut on actually. Um, I don't know if anybody here has power in like a woodshed where they split, but if you do and you don't have a fan, do yourself a favor and definitely get yourself a fan. I got this one. I think I paid like 60 bucks from this one from Vivor, and I mean it flat out moves some air. Let's see what we got here. What's up, Ted? Got Ted with Miller Stumps and Firewood. Ted and Sherry. I don't know where I'm gonna end up popping you guys here. I'm just moving some stuff around. Wolf Ridge hasn't been warmed up. You know, we're firing on very few cylinders this morning. Let me see if I can turn this around and see what we got. Just to show you guys what we're working with today, I bucked up a bunch of this hickory all the way to the Wolf Ridge. I don't know how much this is. Probably, I don't know, a cord. These are pretty big rounds. These are all, I don't know, let's see. Some of them maybe 16 all the way up to like probably 20, 24 inches. We'll see how much it is. I did a half cord yesterday. I'm gonna fill up this little tote right here and we're gonna talk about it. So let's see if I can get you guys on a tripod. I just realized I don't even have the right tripod, but we're gonna make it work. Let's see what we got here. This seems to be always what I do. I'll block all this stuff up and pretty much block the Wolf Ridge in here, and I make jokes about having to eat ourselves out of the hole here. Hey Paul, what's up Dick? Old guy Firewood. Yeah, this heat and humidity, and I'm trying to get it in early. That's why I figured I'll still probably end up being out here all day and regretting it, but I got a couple of waters over here and I'm gonna make sure to be having them. And you guys will probably never see it, but I also brought some extra shirts because we'll be sweating through this one real quick. Let's get this thing cranked up. Actually, you know what? Let's get it gassed up. I forgot I ran this yesterday. Most people, I think, watching this probably know I'm running the Wolf Ridge. This is the Wolf Ridge Pro 28C from the fine folks at Wolf Ridge in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And one of the reasons I got the Wolf Ridge, among many, was that they run all Honda equipment. So this is a GX390 motor. And when I run it wide open, it definitely drinks some gas, but I don't usually need to run it wide open if I'm splitting by myself, unless of course I'm splitting hickory. And then it just sips the fuel nicely. Ethanol free. Alright. I'll try to check in with you guys in between, but I got a long walk around here until I get some of this stuff cleared out. Or I might move some stuff now. Alright. You're right, Dick. Having Faith Farm is so nice. I literally picked this thing up. I was down there in 35, 40 minutes from my house. Jordan, I don't have any objective data to give you that information, but if you want my personal opinion, I'm going to tell you 100% that cooler is worth it. I'll take you over here while the Wolf Ridge is warming up. Personally, I would not purchase this machine without the cooler based on where I live. If you lived in Alaska, 252 hours on this machine, and the oil looks like the day I got it. Crystal clear. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even look like it's, you know, it's starting to change color at all. I mean, it's very normal. You always want it to be clear, but it's very normal for it to be like an amber color as it starts to get worked in, and I don't want to say burn, but you know what I mean. This thing cuts on. It'll cut on pretty early on throughout the cycle, and it stays on the entire time I split in the summertime. Now, in the wintertime, I'll come out here, it'll be 15 to 25 degrees, and I may split for 6 hours and it never comes on. What I can tell you about the oil cooler is it runs the faster that you run the machine. It's not necessarily how hard the machine is working from a wood standpoint, like splitting red oak versus splitting hickory. It's the amount of cycles. So when you're kicking it out early because you're doing stuff like red oak and it pops right open, you're kicking it out early, you're sending it early, back and forth constantly like that. That is definitely gonna crank that oil cooler on a lot quicker. Now, if I recall correctly, you're in South Carolina, right? Yeah, you said it right there. I see it now. What's up, Jack? Yeah, I personally would not get this machine without the oil cooler. You know, you could, if you wanted to save the money as possible, you could rig something up yourself. But yeah, I mean, I have some friends with wolf ridges without the oil cooler, and theirs have been completely fine as well. But when I tell you that their return lines, all the lines get so hot you can't even touch them, like they'll burn your hands. Mine are just warm at best always. And I split year round, you know, 105 degrees out here, I'm splitting. Now granted, I've built this shelter and I'm in the shade, but we're talking about 100 degrees in the shade. Completely ambient oil temp as soon as I'm cranking this thing up is 100 degrees. So I run it for a little while, and when it gets to 120, I think, which is where it's set at, I'm not sure, 110, 120, it kicks on and it usually stays on. When I'm out here with my wife or my buddy Chase and I'm quick cycling, then it's very evident how bad it's necessary. When I'm by myself, you know, you could give or take it. I'll run it about half throttle. You know, I'll split a piece and I'll stack some while it's not wasting gas, and then I'll go back and split some more. So the machine ends up waiting on me, and it, you know, it's not necessary that I move that fast. But next March, yeah, March is perfect, man. I'm sure they sell lots of these in the spring. I bought mine. Okay, so Jordan, I bought mine in January, but I didn't get it until, was it March? Or it may have been April. But nevertheless, if you're looking to split with it in March, order it early. What's up, Derek? What's up, Jeremiah? Hope you guys are having a good Saturday morning, man. If you're sitting inside drinking coffee watching this, your Saturday's already going a little better than mine. But we got to get it in. I'm going to pop you guys up here on the stand and see if we can't make some cycles here. I'll try to check in with you guys, answer any questions. You know, we got to talk about the species. Got stuff stacked up over here so bad. Let's see if we can lift it up. This stuff is beautiful. But stringy, just like hickory is. You guys will probably see me do quite a bit with the single wedge because I like to keep this as nice looking as possible. I also split my cooking wood a little smaller. I love taking hickory because, generally speaking, it's tough for me to be upset about that load no matter what it looks like, for a couple reasons. One, I separate all hickory and I sell it as cooking wood, but I also heat with wood. So when I get a nice load of hickory, it goes into bundles and gets sold as cooking wood. When I get a nasty load of hickory, it goes into a tote for us to burn here at the house. So there's not a lot of win-wins when it comes to a bad load. But I mean, even if you make a bunch of 3 and 4 inch limb wood, that stuff burns like you would not believe. A lot of people are not lucky enough to know what it's like to burn hickory. It's kind of gnarly to split. I might hand split one here in a little bit. Very stringy, very heavy, very dense wood, very high heat output. We're talking 28 million BTUs per cord, which is significant around here. And you're only getting better than that with, like, Osage orange, hedge apple, black locust is pretty high up there. Just to give you an idea, white oak is about 26 million BTUs per cord. So, like I've talked about before, there are other properties to a fire that matter, like its ability to coal, or what they call coaling properties. But hickory does that well too. As far as the species goes, what am I splitting today? Well, this is pignut hickory. And to be honest with you, pignut hickory is what I get the most of. Let's see. Stuff loves to hang together. In my area, we have, I believe, all the native hickories, but I just don't see them. I rarely see shagbark. I rarely see mockernut. And I rarely see shellbark. But those are the true hickories, which I guess we could talk about as well. So, when it comes to hickory or caria, however people say it, is the genus. It is part of the juglans or walnut family. So I guess the dendrology or the taxonomy of it can kind of get confusing. Something that I think a lot of people don't know is that pecan is hickory. A lot of people think that hickory and pecan are separate, and that's not the case. Pecan is a hickory, and anybody that splits pecan can tell you that stuff is a bear, just like hickory. In fact, I would say pecan is usually worse, and I think there are extraneous reasons for that, mainly because hickory can grow out in the forest. My experience with pecan is that it is a yard tree, usually standalone by itself or on a fence row or something, so it becomes a windbreak. So it started kind of gnarly, and then just the wind made it even worse. Let's see who we got in here. 51 of you guys. That's awesome. Pecan is some hot wood. Almost as equally as hot as hickory because it is a hickory. Pecan is also great for cooking. Pecan and hickory have the same flavor profile since they are in the same genus. However, hickory is a lot stronger in regards to its flavor profile. But you'll find a lot of the guys who cook with hickory will, if you can't give it to them, they'll take pecan. That's their next go-to. Zoro, what's up? Paul, if I could only pick one wood for cooking, it would definitely be pecan. That is my favorite. It's the best kind of all around, fits all meats, not too strong. But yeah, so I think a lot of people, myself included for a long time, really did not know that about pecan. It's not in the hickory family. It's actually a hickory. It's in the walnut family, like I said. Now, I know we're splitting hairs with the taxonomy here, but it is what it is. All pecans are walnuts. All hickories are walnuts. All pecans are hickories. So, all right, that'll bring me to those groups then. I guess if we're talking about, we're getting done a little early. There are two groups of hickory. Now, when I say this, know that there are always exceptions. I'm giving you the rule, the general rule. Let me get this up here. So when you're talking about the scientific or the classification, you start at the top. Well, where I start. Again, I'm not a scientist. I'm just a bit of a nerd about it. You start with the family, which is the walnut family, and then you go to the genus, which is the Caria genus or the hickory. From there you go to the group, and there are two groups. You have true hickories and pecan hickories. On average, it's generally accepted that there's 4 of each of those. Are there more? Yeah. Widely accepted that there are 4 of each. In the true hickory group, we have, we're about to lose a pile, hold on. In the true hickory group, we have shagbark hickory, shellbark hickory, pignut hickory, and I'll tell you what, one piece of hickory will break a toe too, even these small splits. Luckily, I've got the grunt boots on. I love these boots. What did I say? Shagbark, shellbark, pignut, and mockernut. Those are the 4 true hickories. Now, the second group you have, which are also hickories, are called pecan hickories. Pecan hickories consist of pecan, imagine that, this stuff right here. I don't know if y'all can see me struggling with this off camera, but this is what I'm talking about. Boy, that one don't want to go. You've got pecan hickories, and so the first and easiest one for there would be pecan. I remember that one because I try to keep pecan in here. It is Caria illinoinensis is the name. That is a pecan hickory, and that's your classic pecan. That's what anybody knows as pecan. And then you have water hickory, Caria aquatica, and then you have nutmeg hickory, And I don't know that I've ever even seen that. There's more BTUs in that bark than some of the hardwoods around here. What did I say? Pecan, nutmeg, water, and bitternut. A lot of people did not know bitternut was a pecan hickory, but it is. So if you were going to try to look like a complete nerd at a party, you would identify this species as Juglans family or walnut family, Caria or Caria genus, true hickory group, and then let's see, pignut hickory is Caria glabra. So then you would say Caria glabra as the species, and then you would put it in lay terms, pignut hickory at the end. Now, another interesting fact that I find interesting anyway, again, the reason this is called pignut hickory, I'll tell you what, does anybody in the chat know why this is called pignut hickory? I'll finish this one and then we'll see if anybody knows without a Google. Or with a Google. I mean, the reason I'm here is that we learned something today, even if it's me. All right, let's see what we got. Oh man, we got some traction here. We got some comments. Making bags. Jordan, that's awesome, man. Yeah, hey, pecan. I don't want to go as far as saying that they're the same, but pecan is a hickory for sure. Yeah, and I mean, I can kind of tell you the differences. The real differences are just splitting the true hickories and the pecan hickories. And this is going to get really kind of in the weeds, but I'll tell you the differences between, one of the biggest differences between the true hickory and the pecan hickory. Now remember, I do firewood. I'm not a sawyer. I'm not a logger. I don't see a lot of this stuff with the leaves on it. So how do I identify a true hickory? Well, you look at the end grain of any hickory species or pecan species, and it's called parenchyma. In the parenchyma, you will have bands in the early wood and the late wood of a round if it is a pecan hickory. So since this is not a pecan hickory, this is a true hickory, this one only has bands in the parenchyma in the late wood, and that's usually evident. So the pecan hickories are semi-ring porous, and the true hickories are true ring porous woods. Ring porosity is a subject for another day, I guess. All right, let's see what we got, because I answered Jordan's question, but there was still a lot. Yo, 122 of you guys, that is wild. Am I outside in the 515? What up, Rob? You know Rob smoked with both, baby. I would love to cook a brisket with Rob before the day is done, before the life is done. I know Rob knows his way around the smoker, as do I. Pecan, definitely a milder smoke, that's correct, yep. I prefer oak to smoked meat, yep. Oak is great. Rob, do you find a difference between red and white? If they're both seasoned well? What's up, Josh Leach? Thank you, sir. Professor Wood. Hey, if I don't know it, I enjoy questions. I prefer questions, Rob, that I don't know, because what happens is it triggers a response that I gotta find out. So then when you ask me a question I don't know the answer to, I get to learn about it too, man. Like I said, I'm a big nerd about this stuff. Craig, forgot about this live. Got to finish breakfast. All good, Craig. Thanks for stopping in, brother. Don't forget to X out of the chat and smash the like button. Rob said it best. What's up, Steve? Hickory is dense and heavy like oak, but my experience is it dries much quicker than oak. Yeah, Dick. Anything dries. I mean, dude, I've got a creek in my backyard that dries quicker than oak every summer. I'll tell you what, if I could only pick one wood forever for anything, it would obviously be oak, because you can cook with it, you can heat with it. It is the best all-around wood, period, if you have to pick one, hands down. But there are some reasons not to like it, for sure. Good morning, Brian. We got Brian from Shotlift Family Firewood here. It's raining there. That's no good. Nice and beautiful here. I say beautiful, but it feels like it's raining. So humid out here. What's up, Todd? Good night. Love the look of hickory cabinets. I've not done a lot of sawing with hickory, but I mean, the wood's beautiful, period. The way it absorbs minerals and creates the streaking. That's another story, I guess. Mahogany is heavy as well. How the heck does he know all that? Jeremiah. Listen, Jeremiah, I'll tell you how I know this stuff, man. Because my wife watches some of the worst television known to man. And if I want to hang out with her at night, my only option is to melt away into something else. It's that, or else I'm watching the Real Housewives of, what? Name that terrible city, I don't know. Love her to death, but her taste in TV is not why we're together, that's for sure. Speaking of which, she, as well as the kids, are up in Canada. Oh, Canada. For 4 or 5 days. They go up there every year to visit my wife's grandparents, so they're great-grandparents, who are like in their 90s, so they're doing awesome. I can only pray to be doing as well as they are when I'm 90, if I even make it to 90. But they're up there having a good old time. But you know what that means. While the cat's away, the mice will play, and here we are in the wood yard, 9 a.m. on the weekend, getting it in. Yo, there's no way there's 180 people in here. Y'all don't make me pass out before it even gets too hot. Rob says they got hammered with a storm. What's up, Robin? Is it Harrop or Harrop? Thanks for being here. You guys are getting some rain out west. Yeah, hot and rain, that's bad. I think there's a medication for it does sound like it needs an antibiotic, Jared. Yes, your quantum reality. I do and have burned sassafras. Sassafras is great. The main things I love about sassafras are it splits open. I mean, you can split that stuff with a dull knife. It splits beautiful like red oak. It smells amazing like root beer, and I don't even like root beer. Speaking of root beer, you either love or hate that stuff. There is not a person on this earth that's like, nah, I'll take a root beer maybe. Sounds like a fat joke to me. Well, listen, if you're on this channel, you're going to see a fat joke. That's 10% of my engagement is people just making fun. It is what it is. What do you do for a living? Jeremiah, who are you asking what they do for a living? Is that for somebody in the chat or for me? No difference in red and white. Red seems to burn a little longer. No difference. Good morning, Brian. Paul. He a wood nerd. Yeah, you know I am, buddy. All right, Dick. Thanks for stopping in, man. If you're working in this heat outside, buddy, stay safe and stay hydrated. I like learning stuff about the wood. It makes you a better consumer and seller. I agree, Craig. That's how this whole disease started. Jeremiah is asking what I do for a living. So I've never talked about this and never had any plans to, but I'm happy to. Back in 2010, I went to nursing school. I should have made you guess, because it's probably the last thing you would expect. So I became a registered nurse, and back in 2017, I went to anesthesia school. So I got my doctorate in nursing anesthesia, or doctorate in nursing practice with concentration in anesthesia. My job title and what I am licensed to do is I'm a CRNA, Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetist, and I put people to sleep all day. And I wake them up. Just don't forget the important part. That is what I do. Actually, you know what? This is interesting. This is a good conversation. Jeremiah, what do you do? Because, we all have these firewood lives. But, most of us have another story. And I've been watching Jeremiah for a long time, guys. My kids love watching Jeremiah. So every Sunday morning, we will come downstairs, and while my wife and I have our coffee, we will watch YouTube, and we'll usually watch my video, because I generally post a video every Sunday. I say generally, I haven't missed one since I started. And Jeremiah's video is one of the videos top of the lineup every Sunday. My son loves watching him. My daughter is very young, and she's getting into all this, so she'll come downstairs and be like, "You guys haven't already watched Jeremiah, have you?" Actually, Grady calls him Jeremiah. My daughter calls him Jeremiah outside in the 608. She's very inclusive to the name. Saving no time with shortcuts. Boy, if I had somebody stacking this stuff, we'd be done by now. I could just hang out with y'all. I've got another green load of oak going out this week. I need to get that cut up. I'll probably do a cord of that, either a cord or two-thirds of the cord. All right. Rob, I never would have guessed medical field. Yeah, dude, 100% of people. I even work with people that are like, dude, I would have never guessed that you work here. I didn't see you every day. Britt needs to make a free app to help more. I thought that said Mormons like me. Britt needs to make a free app to help morons like me. Nah, Rob, man, you're getting into it, dude. Honestly, I appreciate your energy. That's something that that video you posted the other day about speaking it into existence. I'm a believer of that, man, and you got to be able to pay bills, but you got to be happy while you're doing it. So if you can get that done with Firewood, then I would tell you to absolutely get it in. Thanks, Ted. Thanks, Jeremiah. The cedar around kills off the apple trees. Apple rust. Your quantum reality, do you know what that's called? Whenever a tree competes with another tree, I'm going to give you an example because you said cedar and apple. Another big one would be walnut and, say, silver maple. There's a term for that when a tree competes with another tree and kills it. Anybody know what that term is? See if we got any tree guys in here. I'm just the only nerd. Oh, we left down there. A couple smaller pieces short on this week, and I didn't do you guys any favors because I picked a piece of limwood that was very, very flaky. I'll even tell you, to a semi-trained eye, it looked like shag bark, but it was pig nut, just the limwood of it all. I feel like I was saying something and I forgot now. As long as Derek's in the chat, dude, he's in charge of letting me know whenever I start breathing heavy into the mic. All right. Oh yeah. I asked you guys about the what is it when a tree competes with another tree? Let's see. We got Jeremiah's a parts guy. I'll tell you what, as a man who fixes his own stuff almost always, there is no better feeling in the world than when something breaks and you can get that random part the very same day. That may be kind of goofy to say, but there's nothing worse than shutting stuff down for a weekend or for a week. You know, I'm good with Amazon 48-hour shipping most of the time, but when you blow a pin, bolt, you know, filter, any of that stuff, there's something really nice about walking into a parts store and being like, do you have this? And somebody comes out of the back with it. Yeah, Jeremiah does have a great channel, man. You guys need to check out Jeremiah. Outdoors in the 608. My daughter says outside in the 608. Automotive parts guy. How did I become number one? Well, Craig, man, you've been camping out for 2 days, so what's up, Mark? Good wood business. Yeah, man, we're out here having fun. Doesn't hickory have bugs? Do they drill holes? Yes, Jordan. There are numerous bugs that, you know what? I was trying to get to the end of the chat. You guys are just crushing it. I was trying to get to the end of the chat and tell you about the last one. Let me see. All right, we don't know, Britt. Yeah, so it is murder. You're right. It's called, and again, I might be butchering the word, man. I'm not an English major. It's called allelopathy. A-L-L-E-L, opathy. You can look that up, but it's basically where a tree recognizes, doesn't like, and then competes with another tree. And the guy in the chat, pardon me for forgetting who said this, but said that the cedars do that with the apples. Another good example, although there are many of them, of allelopathy. Oh boy, that one don't want to go, guys. Is walnut. Walnut does not play nice underground with a lot of things, but walnut and silver maple. That's a pretty quintessential example. All right, somebody asked about bugs. I'll tell you what, it's funny that you say that because I joke about pound for pound the toughest thing in the world. We talk about how it could be an ant or something like that. I don't think there's anything in the world tougher than a hickory borer. Like, just picture being a hickory borer. Of all the trees you could have eaten, you decide to eat the toughest one. But yes, so if anybody here watches Ohio Joe or Ohio Woodburner on YouTube, then you probably know Joe's stance on hickory. He does not like it. His reasons I can understand, but that's still a crazy take. He doesn't like it because he stacks all his wood and it is left outside, I believe, under cover. I've never seen cover on it, which is fine. But what happens is the hickory borer, and there are numerous borers, gets in the hickory somehow. I don't know. I barely get into this stuff with a machine. The hickory borer gets into the hickory and creates these little piles of dust everywhere, which by itself would not be a problem. The issue is then the rain comes and that dust turns into paste. That paste turns back into dust. It goes back and forth making mud, essentially. So, I mean, that part is kind of annoying. It's a pretty easy fix. You can just cap your wood, and then it'll always just stay dust, and the wind will blow it off. It doesn't look bad. You don't see like any gross disfigurations. You might see a little borehole. Customers would never know whether that was a twig growth. Like, I'm gonna give you an example. Right here, we have a couple of like epicormic bud growths that were gonna be twigs. I don't even know if you can see them. There's 3 of them. You wouldn't know whether or not it was that versus an insect. They don't track in like a bunch of mud, at least in my experience. But man, of all woods to bore, you picked hickory. Talk about being a glutton for punishment. Anybody that's new or has stopped by since we got started, I am splitting Hickoria glabra, or pig nut hickory. And again, I'll probably say this a few times. Why do they call it pig nut? Well, maybe I didn't explain this earlier. I was going to. I'll tell you what, man. Heath is on to something with that ADHD. They call it pig nut hickory because when they first discovered it, we'll just call them pilgrims. I don't know who discovered it. When the first settlers discovered hickory, they were like, oh, it's a beautiful tree, and it's giving us nuts. Well, it turns out the pig nut hickory nut is extremely bitter. So why didn't they call it bitter nut hickory? Well, they called it pig nut hickory because it was so bitter they couldn't eat it. And so they gave all those nuts to the only animal that would eat them, the pig. And so it was written. That is why this is pig nut hickory, or Hickoria glabra, which is a true hickory or pecan hickory. There will be a test. Pig nut hickory is a true hickory. Remember, the true hickories are pig nut, mocker nut, shag bark, shell bark. The pecan hickories are pecan itself, nutmeg hickory, water hickory, and bitter nut hickory. Bitter nut hickory, which a lot of people are familiar with, is a pecan hickory. All of these hickories are in the walnut family. Walnut is the daddy. That's basically a piece of kindling right there. See what you guys are up to. 131. I love it. Y'all gonna make me hand split something. I'm for real passed out. see. Let's see. Good guy's hard. You got it. Allelopathy. Greg got it. I'm assuming you spelled it right, but like I said, I'm not an English major. That looks right to me. Allelo. Yeah, it's possible that it has one more E, but I don't think that it does. I don't know. Allelopathy. Or allelopathy. Like I said, man. Potato, potato. Natural selection. That's what we call it, Derek. Out with the wheat. Should have been tougher, right? Tell that to the silver maple. Jordan, I appreciate that. Earwigs look scary, but mostly harmless, I think. I'll tell you what, man, Craig, I find those things like on the back of my neck when I'm sweaty. Every time I kill them and I look at these things, they have like, they're basically little lobsters, dude. I don't like that at all. Those are the ones with the pinchers, basically. Probably got piranha teeth, too. I ain't gonna find out. Can I get some of that good medicine? A lot of them, they love the wood. Dad jokes. Those beetles are boring. Yes. I love it. Honey locust gets those beetles bad too. Honey locust is another one I don't get a whole lot of, man, but I do love some honey locust. If you don't know, honey locust is not a true locust. So if you ever have somebody tell you that that's locust and they're looking at a piece of honey locust, that's not entirely correct. It's usually expelled all one word to indicate that it's not a true locust, like black locust. You never want to put walnut mulch in your garden. It kills off everything. I'll tell you what, your quantum reality, I have been told any hot mulch, like any fresh mulch, is hot and will kill off your stuff. I have never used walnut mulch. I don't plan on it, but my tree guy brings me mulch so I can mulch my beds, and he always told me just don't bury it like 6 to 8 inches of mulch and you'll be fine. And so I just kind of do a light 2 to 3 inch layer, and I've never had an issue with like all my hostas. You know, none of my plants really have a problem. I'm not a big plant guy, but I mean, I know what's back there. I was going to say something about that. Oh, but what I can tell you about walnut is that it has a chemical in it called juglone, and that chemical people can react poorly to. It's like a host of issues. Nobody has the same exact one. Like some people, it'll give them like respiratory issues, like they'll cough a lot, they're struggling, you know. It's not like they're about to die, but they'll have respiratory issues. Some people, they'll like break out kind of in hives. I would say the majority of the population has no issue with it at all. But it is absolutely, because of the juglone, toxic to livestock, with an emphasis on horses. Horses are pretty, what do you call it? I guess prone to having toxicity of juglone from the walnut. So that is why you don't put walnut, that chemical alone, which I believe is classified, I don't know, no, I'm thinking of sassafras. I was about to tell y'all it was a carcinogen, but I don't think, I'm thinking of sassafras. Juglone, like jugulo, with cologne on it. Boy, we're working up a good sweat now. Yeah, Josh, taxonomy in general, you know, outside of like dendrology and trees, you're talking about animals, insects. It is crazy how they all have a name. And they've all had a name, like our whole life. I'm 40 years old. For 40 years, we've known different types of ants, you know? So it's like not a recent discovery either. It is pretty crazy how they named all that in so little time. I guess we've had a few million years to test it. Craig said if there's a test, he is looking at some of y'all's answers. You know what, Craig? If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, buddy. We're here to share. Yeah, Rob, we are nerds. That's the truth. Got any spare wood chippers? I don't even have a single wood chipper. Wood chippers are my enemy. One of my tree guys up the road, Josh at Grove Park Tree. Great guy. I work with him some. He'll bring me some wood as well as Brian, who brought me this load of hickory. Beautiful load of hickory. Anyway, Josh sent me a text the other day and told me his chipper, the alternator went out on his chipper. And y'all don't want to know my response to him. I told him, good, leave it broke. Because I'm tired of those guys chipping up this beautiful firewood. I know it's got to be done, man. They got to get home to their families too. Like, come on. I could never be a tree guy, man. I try to bring it all home. I'm sure that would change once I actually did it, but I'll text him every week and be like, hey, what are you cutting this week? And he'll be like, oh, we're cutting a hickory, we're cutting a white oak, and I was like, the yard is open for business. And he tells me, you know what? We're leaving it there. Customer wanted us to leave it. And that kills me. You know why? Because the chance that customer is going to split that wood is basically zero. They just don't want to pay the haul-off fee, which I understand. But if I was a tree guy and somebody didn't want to pay the haul-off fee for a hickory, I reckon I'd do that one for free. Don't tell nobody else. I don't want y'all thinking I'm hauling off a tree of heaven for free. Yeah, I would be a terrible tree guy. You know what I mean? Hey, that'll be $600 to haul it off. Oh, you know what? We weren't looking to spend that. Well, I'll tell you what. If there's a special today, it's free. I'll take it. I'm taking it anyway, sucker. I'm leaving with the wood, buddy. Sometimes you just gotta let them know. I'm leaving here with something. Anyway, his chipper went down, and I told him to leave it down. And then he texted me like a week later and said he got it fixed, and the only thing that it was an alternator. No, not an alternator. He thought it was an alternator. All it was a fuse. So I got a good load of wood because a fuse blew. I sent him a text message and I said, send me a picture of where the fuse box on your chipper is located and what time you guys get in bed at night. All right, splitting for bundles. Yes, Josh, I am splitting 4 bundles. Generally speaking, now it kind of waxes and wanes in regard to how much I have, but generally speaking, I separate all my cooking wood species, and I will usually only sell those in bundles because I might only have, 3 to 5 cord of something, and I'm just not gonna, sell a $150 truckload when I can get a $300 truckload out of bundles. You know what I mean? So the majority of people around me know they're the weekend warriors. They come, they grab 4 bags. I don't see them for a month or 2, and I have enough of those people that just sustain it. It makes it, easy enough not to sell bulk. I will sell half stacks or whatever, but the price doesn't go down significantly. Generally, the only truckloads or bulk cooking wood I sell is oak. We get a ton of oak around here, so I can do that. And I sell a truckload of oak for $150 in my area all day long. So I am splitting for bundles. Craig said watching me work makes him want to do some work. Craig, man, you got to get yourself a shelter, dude. I split. I was gonna do a then and now video, but I split under the sun for years. I used to have an electric splitter that I had to plug in, so I didn't go far from the house. From there, I went to a hydraulic splitter that was the slowest splitter. I know Chris in the Woodyard thinks he had a Glacier. I think I owned the real Glacier. It had a 28-second cycle time with no auto retract. So when I tell you you couldn't leave, I mean it. Very slow. I've got video of it. Actually, my very first video on YouTube was me. And I bet I ran that thing. I edited that video probably in 20x to make it look like a normal machine. I'm a redhead, so you know I ain't built for all this sun. I had to have some shelter. So I guess, I don't know, a couple of years now. When did I build this thing? It's not that old, but I built it. And this has been, next to the Wolf Ridge, the smartest thing that I have done for my Woodyard. Well, I like to think everything I've done is pretty smart because that tractor's changed the game. I mean, almost the biggest change in the game. The Wolf Ridge, you know, I love this machine. I absolutely love this machine. You could do what I do with the county line in Oregon, Troy built, any of those. I mean, there's nothing. Y'all see how fast I'm splitting. It's not, you know, I'm not over here setting records. And I've probably got between 50 and 70 cord of wood in my yard. So, I mean, there are people who do 100 cord with the box door splitter. There's nothing wrong with that. But you gotta have some shade, some comfort. If you're doing that, you're gonna be out there. Also, Josh Leach, you asked if I was splitting bundles. Normally, I would never put something like this in a bundle. Not because it's ugly, just because that's just a little knot. That's all it is, internal. A bark inclusion. And not because it's ugly, just because it usually just doesn't fit nicely. But I've been running really big bags, and I like them, mainly because they're cheap. But they're 24 by 24, so they're big. I don't even know what that would be as far as cubic feet. But probably at least 1 1/4, maybe 1 1/2. And that way I can either fill them up and give them their money's worth with something that's a little like that right there. It's not a perfect piece. I'll put it in there and have room for it. Or I'll just, you know, if it's all nice and straight, then the bag I'll just put what I need to in there. I use the Wolf Ridge bagging station for anybody that does not know. And I enjoy it. Before that, I used trash cans. I used about 2 trash cans a year, maybe 1 trash can every 6 months. I actually still have them right here, actually. That's what I use for the bundle. There's 2 of them right there. Use that for a long time. All right, we have got exactly half a face cord done, which is cool. Jordan, if you're still here, I'm wearing headphones, so I can't really hear the cooler cut on. But if you're still here, I'm going to tell you whether or not it's on. absolutely. It's definitely on. And I guess it's probably been on if I had to guess. "70 and sunny." Derek is literally living the dream. I always joke about him being somewhere on a beach, and y'all can see why, dude. He's up. I think he's upstate New York. Is that right, Derek? I'm over here giving Derek's coordinates out. He's like, chill out, dude. I'm pretty sure he's upstate New York, and I actually spent a summer in Rochester. Hold on a second. All right. I spent a summer in Rochester, and well, Spencerport actually. And you want to talk about a beautiful summer? Like he said, no humidity, 75, 80, sunny. Derek's at work. That's no good. Work on a Saturday. I was supposed to work next Saturday, but I think I got out of it. Yeah, Rob, how long before your Wolf Ridge is ready to eat, dude? It's got to be soon. I have no idea what this guy's handle is. Something Bird said hi, and I appreciate that, buddy. Scrolling through these. Yeah, Rob, what'd you decide? You got to get that bunker set up. I think stacking out of a bunker is a smart idea. You may get to it and realize, hey, I'm not going to do it. I just like piling in a bunker. But I think, hey, that's baby steps, dude. Come over to the dark side. I say that, and then I'll probably get to the bottom of my pile this year, and it'll be just like green mold. All right, good idea, Britt. I could extend my shed, the lean-to for splitting. Yeah, man, you gotta have shade out there, Rob. If you plan on doing this for any length of time, you could get out there for an hour or two every day. But if you ever try to, and the more you get free wood, Rob, the wood hounding thing is a slippery slope. You start just, grabbing limbs off the side of the road. Before you know it, you're in somebody's backyard you've never met. Before you know it, you got tree services dropping stuff off. If that's the case, yeah, you're going to be out there. And tree services really ramp up from like March to November. I mean, those guys are working throughout the summer when I prefer to be chilling. So, unfortunately, some of my best loads come in the hottest times of the year. Redhead. Well, bald-headed, Derek, is what I meant to say, but it used to be red. I'm red-bearded. How's that? Hell, I'm almost white-bearded. What all wood? Who got an all wood? What all wood did you get? Oh, Josh. We got the old muscle wood that Russ had for sale. Oh, cool. So, Josh, you are the guy that bought Russ's muscle wood. Are you the guy? So he got on the ferry and delivered it. Am I making that up? Is that, you are a ferry ride away from Russ? Is that correct? I could be making that up. I might be getting episodes mixed up. All right, Craig, good to see you, brother. Okay, Josh, gotcha. That's awesome, man. How has that machine been for you? Have you had any, I mean, I know it was well taken care of for sure. I'm just, it was also well used, and those things, all wood, seems like they make a good splitter. I don't think you could go wrong with an all wood, an Easton made, a Wolf Ridge. Everybody's kind of got their reasons why they get what they get. But how's that thing been for you, Josh? Any issues out of it? And my next question, Josh, is what did you split with before the muscle wood? Were you using another commercial splitter of some sort, or were you using a box store splitter, a mall? Let's see what we got. Yes, Josh, that's awesome. I appreciate you saying that about the channel stickers and shirts, because that clears stuff up. It's tough, man, when you're doing these lives. I've done the Firewood thing for years, and I've I've done the YouTube thing for a little while, and I try to remember people's names. Now I will definitely remember, but it's easier when you can tie it to something, whether it be like, oh my goodness. Kidding me. I mean, you can tie it to a specific video or event. Speaking of events, we've got one coming up here in North Carolina if anybody is around. Put on by Aaron Bergen. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Could be Bergen, I don't know. He established what I believe to be a non-profit organization called Wood for Warriors, and by all my research, it looks like an outstanding organization that gives away all of its wood completely free to veterans who heat with wood. And I don't want anybody to quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure they offer up to 3 or 4 cord per household. And he does that within an hour radius, which is also pretty cool, of where he is at in Hickory, or where the business is at. So this year, I think Russ is coming down. I think Alan Collier, or most of you guys know him as Timber Cutter Patriot, he has linked up with Aaron. I think they met, I don't know, maybe at Hoosier, and he kind of was excited to help with the calls. I think Alan's got a awesome channel with a lot of reach, and so I think he'll be there as well. I don't know the details. Like I said, I talked to him one time on the phone about getting something started here in North Carolina, and that was that. But it is Labor Day weekend. I think it's all weekend, but I'm probably going to be there Friday with my splitter and maybe a couple buddies. And we're just going to split a bunch of wood for the veterans. I can't remember if I said this, but I think they have something like 80 veterans on the list right now. And so they deliver something like 180 or 170 full cord a year for free, which is awesome. Sounds like a cause I'm down for. Shout out to the veterans. If you are in here, you guys are the reason I've been sitting around and sat in full handles. Thank y'all for your service. Man, who cut these things? Some of these are crooked. Can't be me. Yeah, couldn't be. Matt over at Lily's Farm in Firewood did a video I thought was pretty interesting last week about kind of the issues with cutting wood crooked like this. You know, it's got to be difficult. Common sense tells you it's difficult on the machine, because when it goes in there, it starts lifting up, and then you've got this ram, whether it's mounted or not, now you've got this ram pushing you in different directions. And as I was watching his video, I was thinking to myself, man, I cut a lot of crooked wood. It doesn't look crooked once it's done. It's all 16-ish inches. But I'm bad about running a saw a little longer than I should. I need to get in a better habit of that for safety in general. Not good to run a dull saw. Or I'll have like burrs on the bar that I have to flat file down. Anyway, so much of what I cut and split is huge wood. And I'll tell you what, with the right bar, the right chainsaw, the right chain, you can make it look beautiful, but it's also very easy with decent stuff to make that big wood look crooked because you're making such a long cut. I don't know if anybody saw my Sunday video a couple of Sundays ago where I cleaned up a red oak for a co-worker of mine, and it was a 34 to 36 inch in some places red oak, and it was a complete blowover, and so those can be dangerous. And I went to cut it down, and the first thing I did was I made a little undercut in the wood, so whenever I got to my undercut, it would fall and not like kind of hang up or rip a strip off and sling it. Well, by the time I got down to my undercut, I was probably 3/4 of an inch off. I didn't even hit the undercut. It was totally safe, but if you go back and watch the video or the short, you can see when when I take that big chunk off, it was probably 20 or 30 feet. When I take that big chunk off, the tree goes to stand back up because it had a massive root ball on it. And you can see where it ripped the bark off. Luckily, I made it plenty of the way through. But you can kind of see where it was starting to, I don't want to call it barber chair, but maybe that'd be the term. Anytime I use the word barber chair, it's because I've got a tree that's standing and it splits and starts the barber chair. This was not that. I'll get this stuff stacked up right here and see what you guys are up to. Making some progress, man. Anybody out there working in this heat, make sure that you know the warning signs. Stay hydrated. Drink more even if you're not thirsty. And one of the big warning signs is when you stop sweating. When it's this hot, you shouldn't stop sweating. Alright, Rob says he wishes he could make the event. Yeah, it's going to be cool, man. If nothing else, it'll be helpful, which is what we're here for. Don't forget to X out of the chat and hit the like button. That really helps me out, Rob. I appreciate that, buddy. Cat Nah, what's up? Thanks for dropping in. No problems at all with the splitter. We bought a Range Road processor that is for sale, but we grew bigger and needed a bigger machine. I'll tell you what, Josh, that sounds like champagne problems, brother, and I'm glad to hear it. Nothing like outgrowing the previous equipment. That's really cool to hear that it's done so well. Like I said, man, I ran a couple rounds, I think, through Russ's splitter at Hope. I could be making that up, but I'm almost positive I did. He was parked right beside the repeater, I think. And those were two splitters that I wanted to get my hands on. Ted says, question, Britt, do you find that one species of hickory is stringier than the other? Okay, interesting that you asked me that, Ted. I would say 90% of what I get is pignut hickory. And in my opinion, it is stringier. But I will tell you, I do get shagbark. Shagbark and pignut are the two hickories that I usually get, as well as pecan. I find that pignut is stringier, but I've had people complain that shag bark was very stringy as well. Most of the shag bark that I get, and this is all kind of circumstantial, most of the shag bark that I get is stuff that I've brought in, and it's stuff that's out in the woods. So it grows nice and straight. It doesn't have a lot of wind damage, and a lot of these hickory trees that I'm getting from the tree service, they're not out in the middle of the woods, they're out in people's yards. So they've been, for the duration of their life, they have been a windbreak. And so not only do you have hickory that is notoriously difficult, even when it's nice and straight, but you have a windbreak hickory, so it becomes even stringier. If you were to ask me what I think the stringiest one is, personally I would say pig nut, but that is completely anecdotal and just my personal opinion, because I have heard people say that they think that shag bark is thick. It's just not been my experience. But Ted, you work up a fair amount of hickory. I watch you with the processor. I saw you doing some hickory on that. What do you think? Do you think that one hickory is worse than another? I think in the grand scheme of things, if you were asking a sawyer who groups this stuff for a living in a saw yard, they would probably say it just depends on where the hickory tree grew. That the actual characteristics of the tree are too similar to even know the difference between all the true hickories. But yes, so much of my experience is with the pig nut. I've seen some shell bark, but most, I would say 10% of what I get, well, let's just say this, 90% of what I get is pig nut, 7% is shag bark, and the other 3% is mocker nut, pecan, and bitter nut. I'll tell you, pecan is some of the nastiest stuff. I've got five totes of pecan that I'm looking at right over there, and that is one of the woods and one of the splitting sessions that I do not mind being in the rear view, because that was a yard tree, and I think all it did for 100 years was stop wind from blowing, because it was nasty. I'll be curious to hear your opinion on that, Ted. That is why I will accept a slightly reduced level of what I consider bundle grade for when it comes to hickory. Like some of this stuff will be, back when I was using the trash can, it was kind of a pain to get into bags because it was so, sometimes this stuff doesn't even want to split apart. I got one right here that's not giving up the ghost. Hickory is probably, I don't want to say my favorite, but it is definitely a tie for first place when you're talking about the smell of a wood. We heat with wood. I've mentioned that before. When I go to work, I always load the stove and kind of get it ready for the day for my wife. And then she will, if she needs to, load it while I'm gone, probably once, maybe twice on a really cold day. We have a couple stoves, and she'll load it. And I can tell you, when I come home, when I come down the driveway, and get out of my car, if she is burning hickory, it's the first thing I smell. And that's coming, you know, that's 50 feet up out of a chimney, a quarter of an acre from where I park. I love it. Cherry is another really good wood. I have a buddy that lives up the street. He has a boiler. I supply him with a ton of scrap. And so he'll get some offcuts of just cherry scrap wood. And he's probably not quite half a mile. I bet he's probably a little north of a quarter mile from me. And I will text him and ask him if he is burning cherry or hickory. If I smell it. Like if I know I'm not burning it. I've got a really killer nose when it comes to this stuff. A lot of times when I'm done splitting, I'll shovel all my scraps into a tractor bucket and dump them on the pile, my burn pile. With hickory, I will keep them. Like even these little feathers, all these little kindling pieces, I'll keep these. And whenever I'm having a fire out here in the wood yard just to burn scrap, if I'm outside, I'll throw these in there just to smell it. Love it. The smell, not the splitting. Let's see what you guys are up to. Dang, another 150 people in here. This is so cool. I'll go over the genetics of this stuff here again. Hopefully I'm not beating a dead horse, but I just want everybody to hear that didn't hear if they're interested. Alright, later Craig, Jeremiah said bye, you're correct, let's see. Bang! I think the big rams are okay with the crooked, small ones, definitely be careful with. That was such a big tree. Yeah, oh dude, Rob, that tree was massive, and the videos, and you either know this or you'll figure it out. These videos do not do this tree work justice. You know, you've responded to some Facebook ads, I'm sure, where you were like, holy hell, this did not look like that in the ad. I need a crane to get this thing out of there. What's up, Vic? Victor in the house. I think Victor is another New York. I think Victor's up north, so he's probably enjoying some of that 70 and sunny, beautiful Saturday morning up there in New York. Thanks for being here, Vic. Hickory with any knots will be a fight. I'll tell you what, Ted, I fight with the hickory that doesn't have knots, man. The knotty stuff I throw in my personal pile. If it's really gross, like if I don't even want to jam it into a bag, I'll throw it into my personal pile. But you're right, man, this stuff does not want to give up. And what's crazy to me is a piece the size of a thread. Like you can see some of this stuff. I mean, you could sew with that. A piece that size will literally fight you tooth and nail until the last breath, which is crazy to me. I never even thought about the location affecting the stringiness. Absolutely, Rob. That's with every tree, and trees that are naturally stringy like pecan and hickory, it just exponentiates, man. It makes it that much worse. Any tree will do that, though. You'll see a silver maple that'll grow completely straight as an arrow. It'll pop open, straight as an arrow, and then you'll see that exact same silver maple, and it'll look like it grew twisted all the way up, like it rotated in a conical fashion all the way up. Trees that are out in the middle of nowhere, out in yards, we call them, yard trees. That's what the mills call them, obviously, from a metal standpoint. But those trees just, all they do is they stop wind their whole life. All right, we got another one. And so by nature, they grow very twisted. One more up here. Starting to actually have some space now. Get all these in. That's another reason for the shelter. On days like today, you can get stuff bucked up and ready. Like I bucked this up last night. You get this stuff bucked up and ready. It can be raining as hard as it wants to out there. That's not my concern. I'll park the tote right here in front of the splitter where my overhang is. Get after it. Stay dry the whole time. What is everybody cutting for themselves right now? What's in your wood yard waiting to be split? I currently have, well, I've got a fair amount of stuff. I've got a little bit of apple, all this hickory. I've got a lot of red oak, predominantly red oak. I've got some white oak. I've got some silver maple. And I've got some hard maple. What else? White oak, did I say white oak? Oh, and tulip poplar. I got some tulip poplar. Which, for the record, is not true poplar. It's a misnomer. Tulip poplar, I believe, is magnolia. Somebody Google that. I could be lying to you, but I'm pretty sure that I'm not. Your main poplars like aspen, cottonwood. We don't get much of that here. We get tulip poplar. Which again is not really a poplar. Tulip poplar, it makes better kindling than it does firewood, but let's don't get it twisted. It will absolutely make firewood. It's easy for people up north in the northeast and the southeast like myself to become pretty snobby about firewood and forget that the majority of the world, I'm not talking about the majority of the United States, the majority of the world heats with softwood. Conifers, spruces, pines, junipers. That's not just a Pacific Northwest thing. That is all over the world. We are lucky, in my opinion, to be in the land of the hardwoods. But I am a subscriber to All Wood Burns, and I mean that. And also the people who, you know, the people who balk at certain species, those are people who either they don't heat with wood or they do heat with wood and they live in an area where all they've ever got is hickory and oak. Hey, which is, you know, more power to them. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of times that I want to cut my stove on when it's just to take the chill out of the house. And I'm not trying to burn hickory and oak to do that. You know what I mean? Before you know it, you're trying to take the chill out, you got the windows open. So if you can, in the fall, whenever things start to cool off, you can take a little tulip poplar, light yourself a single fire. Tulip poplar gets hot. It just burns down to ashes. It doesn't coal up. It burns rather quickly. But you can do that. Man, this is an ugly piece of firewood right here. I have found though, as it dries, this stuff will be easy just to cut off or rip off when it comes time to put in a bag. But yeah, you can start a little tulip poplar fire, and that fire is there and gone in less than an hour, and your house is the exact temp you want it for the day. Don't get me wrong, I predominantly burn really good hardwoods. Why would I not? I'm a big fan of oak, that's what I burn the most of. Big fan of hickory. But to say that I'm not burning something because it doesn't have a high, I burn pine, I'll burn anything. But everything has its place. And the more you know about it, its properties, the better you can build a fire and anticipate the needs for the right fire. Here in the southeast, we look at pine as campwood. That's what we call it. Softwood, campwood. Well, out west they call that middle of January heat. Now there's some pines that have decent BTUs. You know, you got like pinyon pine. There are some pines that have more BTUs than hardwoods. Well, you know, than really crappy hardwoods, I guess I should say. I'll check on you guys because there was 150 of y'all last time I looked. I want to make sure I'm getting to the bottom of the comments. I get sidetracked at 190. It does smell good when splitting or grinding. Oh man, grinding a stump looks like a heck of a job, Ted, but I can only imagine how good that smells. Ted, when you're grinding stumps of American sycamore, does it cause any issues for you? If you're still in here, I'm curious. I know sycamore really gives the guys running the chipper a problem. You know, most people chipping sycamore, those poor guys are over there hacking and coughing the entire time they chip. I'm curious to know if that's the case for you. Derek's out of here. Thanks for being here, Derek. Hickory smoke is pleasant. You got it right. Vic says, I got 2 logs of pig nut to zip up. I'm gonna have my pizza guy burn it up. And that's what I'm talking about. Good species and good food. I've got a pizza oven in the backyard. I'll have to let y'all check out. I might do some pizzas tonight, actually. Oh man, Vic, I'm not even gonna try that one. You know that's a lie. I'm gonna try it. Schenectady. 72. Vic is also somewhere on a beach right in his hometown of Schenectady. Oh yeah, my 500 eyes definitely got to work out noodling down the big stuff. Yep. Yeah, bragging about the 70s is not cool. Alright, we're over here dying. You're wrong. I take 1,000 fresh cut oak stumps to grind over one maple stump any day. Ted, you need to talk about this stuff, man. This stuff is really interesting to hear because I don't grind stumps. I've never ground a stump, and I don't know anything about it. I'm curious, you know, your experiences with that. You would rather grind 1,000 fresh cut oak stumps over one maple stump any day. That really is interesting to me. Does the type of maple matter, whether it's a soft maple or a hard maple, like silver maple or red maple versus sugar maple or black maple? Let's see. Maple stump is typically hard as concrete around here, hard or soft. Oh, there you already answered my question. See, I gotta just get further in the chat. You guys just trust me. I got oak and walnut, need some ash I'm running low on. Everybody needs a little ash, Rob. Tons of ash on hand. Now Ted's just rubbing it in. This guy's just putting all the stuff we love. Hickory and ash. I'll tell you what, I got a small load of ash recently, and I'm telling you, not a lot of woods put a smile on my face, but when I get a load of cherry or a load of hickory and a load of ash or a load of locust, man, those really, that'll turn the day around. Live oak, B de Beauce or B de Bois, I don't know if that's French, I don't know, help me out here, but live oak is excellent firewood. Unless you're the guy splitting it with a maul, in which case, good luck. Let's see. The pine around here burns like it has gas on it. Yes, wet pine usually burns better. I won't say it's safer. It'll almost burn better than dry pine because it lights easy and it just sits there and burns the sap. Might as well be diesel fuel, baby. Weather's great. Yes, the land of the hardwoods. We have lots of history, but I don't really have any of it in the yard. All pine burns like that. Carl Lewis, the man with the plan. Thanks for being here, buddy. 8 p.m. live with Russ. Two Brothers Outdoors tonight at 9. Okay, Ted says he has not had any issues with sycamore. I think the skin neck titty. All right, there we go, Schenectady. Boy, you made that easy. Why don't they just spell it like that? Should have put Victor in charge of the dictionary. Skin neck titty, New York, not North Carolina. Pretty cool. All right, Ted. What? It sounds like maple might be the ugliest one you do, but what is the ugliest stump? Stump for stump, one for one, dollar for dollar. What's the one species that you would prefer not to do? Is it also maple, or were you just saying maple over oak? A lot of the stuff that's difficult to split, like gum or elm, those probably aren't too difficult for Ted, you know, because he's running that industrial size chip grinder. Anybody that has not checked out Ted over at Miller Stumps and Firewood, Ted and his wife Sherry do a ton of woodwork, both firewood, splitters, processor, tree removal, stump removal. Now that I say that, I don't know that I've ever seen him doing a full tree removal, but nevertheless, I think he does. If not, he will mention he's still here. But you guys, go check him out over at Miller Stumps and Firewood. I say him, and I'm bad about saying him, but let me be very clear that his wife is just a big a part of that channel. And her name is Sherry. This one just doesn't want to get split. backed up. We are coming up on a face cord here. We're close to it. If anybody in here is watching that is new, I'll continue beating the dead horse. This is pignut hickory. Pignut hickory, or Caria glabra, and it got its name pignut hickory because early on, we're going to call them in the first settler days, the people settling on this land found out that the nuts were so were so bitter that they were hardly edible. Therefore, they fed all of the pignut hickories, or the pignut hickory nuts, I should say, to the pigs. The pigs were the only things that would eat them. And so it was written, pignut hickory. Which is kind of a misnomer if you think about bitter nuts, because there is actually a bitter nut hickory, which is a pecan hickory. So the hickory genus, or the Caria genus, has two groups. Group number one is true hickories. Group number two is pecan hickories. A lot of people do not know that the species pecan, somehow we got a piece of red oak up here and I didn't even recognize it. That's all right. That was a nice change of pace right there. You might as well split it up. I'm over here talking and not paying attention. Y'all can see the color contrast. This is southern red oak right here, nice and pink. Nice little break from splitting the hickory. The stuff just falls off into your hand. You can short stroke the machine with this stuff because it splits about 2 to 3 inches in. It's already popping open. Like right there, this is already popped open. So I will send the machine home early just to cycle faster. What were we talking about? We were talking about hickory that we came across the red oak. Two groups of hickory. I'm about to lose some. Oh, stay up there. Nice. Two groups of hickory. We have true hickories and pecan hickories. In the true hickory group, we have shagbark hickory, shellbark hickory, mockernut hickory, and yours truly, pignut hickory. Then you have the pecan hickory group. There are 4 pecan hickories that are widely accepted. Water hickory is a pecan hickory. Nutmeg hickory is a pecan hickory. Bitternut hickory is a pecan hickory. And last but not least, our good friend, actual pecan, is a pecan hickory. That'll be my fun fact for the day. Pecan is a hickory. If you've been here since the beginning, you're probably tired of hearing me say it, but I'm talking for people who have not been. If there's anybody left in this chat when I'm done with this red oak, I might have to stand one of these hickory rounds up and do a little swinging on it just to see. Because we have ourselves a nice face cord of hickory already done. forget the water. That's good. I like to idle it down, give it a minute to breathe, let the oil cooler continue cycling some oil. Just my process. 162 people. That's awesome. Absolutely, Ted. Thank you for having awesome content. Any maple or any ornamental tree are the worst to grind. Interesting. That's so cool. Felix, sounds like Felix uses a wood miser. Are you talking about the sawmill? I think wood miser is about the best in the game. My experience with sawmills are either homemade sawmills or like Frick sawmills, like John at Frickin' Jeep runs, the big open blade. My buddy down the road has one of those. All right, Vic, thanks for stopping in, buddy. It was good to see you. Wolfridge for the win and a face core to hickory while schooling us on the woods. Impressive. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate you guys enjoying the same things I do, man. Guambi looks fun. Thanks for being here, Guambi. Gilbert, thank you. All right, let's see what we got here. I'm going to cut this thing down. I might regret doing this, but here we are. I don't know that Jordan or anybody that was curious is still here, but I will show you. See if I can take you guys over here. Not that we did any aggressive hard splitting today. We will off camera. But these lines, all of these lines from here to here on some of my buddies' machines, they're so hot you can't even put your hands on them sometimes. I mean, this is metal right here. I mean, obviously it's warm. I can hold this all day long. And as far as temp, let's see if I can get y'all in there. About 100. About 100 degrees. Just like my forehead. All right, let's pick a round. And I'm not gonna, I'll just pick one close to me here. Let me see if I got them all. I'll usually hand split a fair amount in the winter. Maybe, I say a fair amount. Guys, come on, I got the Wolfridge. I'm not out here hand splitting. I will usually split, I'm trying to see where I can put you guys. Maybe a face cord a week in the winter. Usually just to warm up my machine and warm up myself. All right, that's not gonna work. Let's see what we got here. My tripod's all busted up from all this big wood that I bust. I'm gonna take a couple swings on this stuff, and I'm just trying to figure out where the best place to put y'all is. I think I mentioned it, my wife is in Canada, so I am the only one here. It goes without saying, if you see my big ass go down, call 911. All right. Let's go get them all. Hickory is not one that I would hand split if I didn't have to. I guess that's a lie because I don't have to right now, but here we are. I probably ought to take this mic off so you guys don't have to hear me breathing heavy. I broke so many of these fist guards. All right, is that in frame right there with my busted tripod? It appears to be. Let's see. Jordan's here, my man. You gonna be at Paul Bunyan? I am gonna be at Paul Bunyan. Well, I have reserved an Airbnb, so as long as everything's good with the kids and wife, my wife Leah and I will be at Paul Bunyan. So I think we've talked about that. Oh, boys don't even want to come out. Don't do it to me. I think we talked about that on YouTube somewhere in the comments, Jordan. So if you were going to be at Bunyan, we definitely need to get up and meet each other, because you have been on the channel since very early on. I remember seeing your questions, your comments, and I really appreciate all of them, all the support. Oof. You know when you get a swing in and you can just feel that it ain't going nowhere, like another swing or even 10 swings is not going to get you there? That's what I just felt. It's hard to slide the maul in my hands because they're wet. Guess I could take these ears off now. Three to pop. Don't love that. And 3 more to separate. Don't love that either. I need to see if you guys, am I still in frame here? Close enough. I know that's not the proper swing, but that gets it done. I am not as coordinated as TKP, so I will not be splitting these under the boot. The boot split seems like a job for red oak anyway. This one's ugly. This one is too. All right. Where's my pick? Dripping. Let's see. I'm gonna do another one, but I want to be out of the way. I'll give TKP this. It's a lot better than bending over and grabbing it every time. If I did a lot of hand splitting, I'd grab a tire. Boom, boom, boom. This one's ugly. It's got a horizontal growth. I just missed it. See if I can just miss it again. One more time. Nice. Here's another one. Hopefully y'all can see that. Growing horizontal. Even the straight stuff with hickory is ugly. Whoa. Am I on it? Nope. It's just that difficult. These nice crooked cuts of mine. Bust up this piece here and then see if you guys have any questions. Hello. That one worked out, but not ideal. It's hard to see all the waves and the knots in this stuff. All right. What's up, Brandon? Rob. I need to swing the axe more, man. For sure. Jordan, I would love a business shirt, man. I don't have any like merch. I do this stuff for fun. I've got some stickers. I'll definitely have those. But I would love a business shirt. That'd be cool as hell. Best cardio in the world. You got it, Will. What do you prefer to hand split? And what do you prefer not to? Give me your one species, your go-to, Will, and then the one species you hate, this hand split. It is too hot to be splitting by hand. Jordan is bang on with that one. Can't wait to see the content, Ted. You and Sherry have a great day. Brandon, again, thanks for checking in, buddy. Getting the swings in, baby. Old man in the shop, built not bought. Why are you splitting by hand? Old man, I think the question is why not? Nah, buddy, that's a good question. I'm gonna grab some water here and then I'll give you the answer. I am absurd. There is no answer. These lives are pretty cool. I've just started doing them. I really enjoy two things. One, getting to interact with you guys, but two, you guys getting to interact with yourselves because in the chat, because I've done these lives for a long time with other people in their lives, and I enjoy the community. I enjoy each week getting on and seeing people in Russ's lives, people in Dan's lives every Friday. I try to make as many as I can. Rob did a live. It's just nice to kind of see what people are doing, but also just keep caught up with the community in the chat. So I feel like when I do these lives, if all I'm doing is splitting on the Wolf Ridge, which is just an easy thing to do live because I'm going to be doing it whether the camera's on or not, that I don't get to talk as much, or maybe I talk the same amount, but I don't know if you guys can hear it over the splitter. I have a mic set up, but you know, it's not anything high end. And so I thought, why not hand split some and just get the background noise of the splitter off and answer questions or learn some of y'all's preferences. It's just easier to do with the machine off. Elm or sycamore by hand. So oh, and Jordan mentioned it. I was about to say, Brandon, I don't know if you have sweet gum up there, so that's why you're probably leaning on elm and sycamore, but I call it the trifecta. The trifecta is of the worst possible splitting woods in the world, in my opinion, and everybody's going to have an opinion. We all know that. Are elm, sweet gum, and sycamore. Those are the three. That's the trifecta. Now, there are going to be people who are like, oh, try that with live oak. Try that with hickory. You know, they'll say, try that with red gum or eucalyptus. You know, I really take an Alley and Collier stance on that. Why? Why would I do that? Why would I get out here and hand split when I have a commercial machine, the toughest in the world, other than just for a challenge to get a little bit of exercise or to hang out with you guys? That I would do it. That's completely different. But if you think I'm just going to come out here and hand split for heat, if you know, with a commercial machine in the background, you're crazy. And if people, you know, lose respect because I'm using a machine, this ain't the channel for you. I do all this stuff to have fun. This is for exercise. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. All the way across. And we bust it. Here we go. A couple big ones. This stuff just wants to hang on no matter what. I mean, we're talking about threads here, guys. Let me grab my pick. Lazy man's third hand. There we go. I'm in the heart of it right now. Also, surely that's not rain. It's beautiful out here. Just water coming off the maples. When I'm out here in the wood yard, I have maples that grow behind my shed and lean over, and they will drip sap when the sap starts running. right into my eyes sometimes. Not that anybody needs to be sold anything, and I have zero affiliation. But a couple years ago, I bought what is called a cold plunge. Let me tell you something, guys. For natural born polar bears like myself, that is how I survive. I need to back up. Here's the problem. I was trying to swing too close on that one because I got stuff behind me. There we go. It's like an ice bath. It's a contained system. So it has a chiller. It does everything. It filters. So you just add chemicals like a hot tub. I keep that thing roaring year round. And I will be in it later today. For sure. Oh, I don't want to stay up. The key to hand splitting is to hit it in the same place every time. That was the same place on 2 hits and it still didn't bust. Imagine how difficult it would have been if I were all over the place. Again, this is not home heat, so this is a lot smaller than most. I split home heat a lot bigger than this. This is for the cooking wood crowd. These are for people who have stick burners and they just want to add a stick every 20, 30 minutes. Some people have big rigs and they ask me for bigger split stuff, which I'm happy to oblige, especially if I have it. This one's coming apart pretty nicely. I kind of want to go down the middle with this one, but I see an inclusion, so something tells me I'll be pissing in the wind here. Yep. Yeah, oh yeah. We saw that coming. Keep biting it off. Just like eating an elephant. I don't have enough room here to be hand splitting. You guys can hear my chickens out there laying eggs. The egg dance. Oh boy, come on. Must be a knot there. And there it is. It had to give up because I wasn't gonna. I knew that one was gonna go. So what we're gonna have to do Make some space here. Here we go. Starting to get slippery here with the sweat. Four times the charm. See if we can get one more out of this. Big knot in this one. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna make some water because I have lost everything I've taken in, plus some. If anybody's just dropping in, we are processing hickory, both by commercial means, via the wolf ridge, and as you can see now, by hand. Other than being 1,000 degrees out here, it's a beautiful day. Every day's a holiday, baby. I think this is probably going to have to be one of the last ones that I do, simply because I can barely safely hold the maul with the sweat. All right. We could do more, but why would we? We got a mess out here. I'm going to end up hopping off here. All right, let's see what we got here. Let me get caught up. He hears the cows complaining. That's awesome, Brandon. I'd like to see your operation up there, man. The last time I talked to Brandon, he was late planting corn, and now he is late to feed the cows, it sounds. So I don't know much about Brandon, but it sounds like he's the backbone of America and the kind of guy that we all need around here. Stringy, you got that right. What's up, Marvin Moore? Thank you for being here, bud. Pecan splits pretty good. Old man in the shop, built not bought. You must be Superman, because the pecan I get is terrible. Also, I am not generally a hand splitter. I was saying, if you didn't catch it, I probably split a face cord a week in the winter and fall and spring. Sorry. I bet you I hand split between maybe 4 cord a year, and all of it is not for production whatsoever. It is strictly me letting my stuff warm up. So when it's really cold outside, I don't like to be rough on the machines. You know, I let the oil in the engine, the Honda engine, warm up, as well as the hydraulic oil in the cylinders. I try to send those back and forth, you know, for 5 or 10 minutes. I'm talking when it's like 10 to 15 to 20, 25 degrees. You know, just like me, I don't hop out of bed and start running. I don't warm up and start running, but if I ran, I definitely wouldn't do it straight out of hopping out of bed. It's crazy watching all the flies swarm all this fresh split hickory. But yeah, so I warm stuff up, and while I'm warming the machines up, I warm myself up, and I do that by hand splitting. And I'll usually just hand split some red oak or some maple or some tulip poplar, you know, 3 or 4 rounds. And then I'll come out here at night sometimes if I'm just cleaning up the wood yard and it's too late to be turning the splitter on, I'll hand split then some too. So maybe 4 cord a year, I think, is a very conservative estimate of what I hand split. And then I machine split 50 to 75 cord a year. Well, I'll tell you what, this year from January 1 to now, I've probably got between 50 and 60 cord, but the year is young. I don't think that I'll have more than 60 sellable cord this year, because the stuff I'm splitting now is pretty well next year. But if you're talking about how much I split in a year, that varies, but I think it could be north of 75 to 100 cord. Like I said, we're seven-ish months in, and I've probably split since January 1, 50 to 60 cord. So maybe I do a little more. I don't prefer this. I don't prefer to split in the summer, but I do a little more in the summer naturally, just because that's when my tree guys show up with the goods. They'll bring them to me in the fall, but it really comes in the spring and summer. So here's I mean, the wood yard is just a mess. I got to figure something out here. I think I just got a dump truck. I'm gonna do a video on that. I'm gonna probably get some millings or something and really just make this nice, but it's low priority, as you guys can see the mess I've got. Right here, got a nice long stick of white oak, Quercus alba. Right here, we have a nice stick of sugar maple, and then it comes down to be a butt log. This looks like it was a very large co-dominant tree, and it just split right there, you can see. And all that's garbage, but again, I heat with wood, and hard maple is just as good as, you know, red oak. And then there's some more sugar maple. When I say hard maple around here, I'm generally referring to sugar maple, but there are multiple hard maples. They are sugar maple, Norway maple, black maple. Those are generally your widely accepted hard maples. And then your soft maples, which are red maple, silver maple, some people call it Manitoba maple or box elder. Those are your soft maples. And again, a little bit of a misnomer, because all maples are hardwoods. So when I say soft maple, I'm not referring to soft wood, just soft maple. It is a hardwood. Let's see this pile back here I was telling you. So sugar maple, y'all, the ADD is wild. That over there is just a bunch of both southern red oak and pin oak. And then, of course, we've got all our hickory. There's what we did. We did a big old tote of hickory, and then, of course, maybe another little fraction of stuff I hand split. This little crotch here is sugar maple. So again, a lot of that just go into my wood stove since it's ugly. Right here is the upper portion of the hickory we are splitting. This is pig nut. You look at that bark, most people would be able to identify that as hickory, I think. You can see some inclusions, mineral inclusions in the end grain in a lot of hickory and pecan. That's pretty normal. But look at this bark right here, and then look at this bark right here, or some of that bark down there. You see how that's a lot fatter, a lot flakier, larger plates, bigger cross sections of like hatch pattern. This is why bark, as a general rule, is a poor indicator in and of itself of a species of wood. That bark looks nothing like that bark, and neither of these barks look anything like shag bark. But shagbark and pignut still offer pretty much the exact same profile of everything, the exact same profile of cooking, the exact same profile of heat output, roughly around 28 million BTUs. It's an amazing firewood, one of the best around here, and excellent ability to coal. Right here in front of me, we've got some silver maple. I got a little bit of crab apple, a little bit of actual apple, little tulip poplar. I'll spin you guys around. A couple sticks of tulip poplar. What I love about tulip poplar is it's a great firewood to mix in with good hardwoods like oak and put in your bundles. People who buy bundled firewood, and this is not a slam to them. I'm not saying this as in, you should try to screw people over that do this. I'm telling you, people that buy bundled firewood, they don't generally know, oh, this is oak, this is maple, this is hickory. They just want a nice fire. These are people that are grabbing 3 bundles of wood, they're taking it to their house. That may give them 3, 4, 5 fires. They're not building fires like a lot of us do. So I mix the, and again, I do it based on the time of year, so I'm not gonna put tulip poplar in my bundles in January, but throughout the summer, I mean, it's an excellent firewood. It really lights easy. It has a nice crackle pop to it, burns, it has a nice flame, much better flame than oak. It's not gonna put out the same amount of heat by any stretch, but everything has its place, and the more you know about it, the easier it is for you to sell it in specific times of the year. So I mix everything in. I don't really have a no. I don't say no to anything unless I just don't need it in the moment. I split gum. I know some people say no to gum. Gum offers 21 million BTUs of heat output per cord. That is better than cherry. Cherry is 20 million BTUs roughly, give or take. And people love cherry. No, don't get me wrong. I'd rather have a quart of cherry than a quart of gum any day of the week. But to say that it's crap firewood is just parroting what your grandparents have told you. And they earned the ability to say that because they hand split everything. It is crap firewood when you've got a maul in your hand. But if you are hand splitting on a machine, I can't imagine saying no to any species. I know that when I see a nice gum tree come through my yard, that it's just not going to be bundle wood. It's going to be bookwood. It'll go into my bins. It'll dry. It'll get mixed in with oak, locust, all of the other hardwoods that I sell. It'll go in a truckload to someone's house, and I try to tailor my loads to suit my customer. If you tell me that you are heating in a fireplace, then I will try to bring you wood for that fireplace. If I get to your house and we're stacking something in the backyard and I see that you're burning a solo stove, it is almost wasteful, although if you want to pay the money, that's fine, and people do. It is almost wasteful to burn locust, hickory, and oak in those settings. I don't even, I mean, in my backyard, we have a fire pit, and I burn the scraps of whatever it is I'm cutting. I burn cedar, juniper. I don't cut a lot of cypress and stuff like that, but I'll take some eastern red cedar just because it's an interesting species. Like, it smells amazing, aromatic cedar, which, by the way, is a juniper, not a cedar, not a true cedar. But yeah, I'll process some of that. And another interesting thing is that my mother-in-law loves the smell of cedar. So I try to, and she also enjoys a nice fire when her and my father-in-law are over here. We'll have pizzas or dinner and sit out by the fire, and we'll throw a couple pieces of that on there to appease her and everybody else, because anybody knows who has burnt it, that eastern red cedar smells amazing. So let's see what you guys got. Any questions? If not, we'll probably wrap it up. Dan's live yesterday was great. Matt's knowledge of boilers was interesting. Yes. I was talking to Jack throughout that live, and he was saying he's learned a lot about boilers from Matt. That was very interesting. The boiler game is just a different ball game. If you do firewood on any scale, to sell it, even if you're selling 8 to 10 cord a year, whatever, it would behoove you to know someone with a boiler. I say that in every video that I do talking about boilers. Knowing a guy with a boiler that can clean up your mess is invaluable. I have 2 buddies with boilers, and you can spin it around here, and I have just chunks of cookies. Some of these I'll split, most of them I won't. And that pile will be 2 and 3 cord high sometime. and I'll call them, and they'll come over with a trailer or, you know, a couple truckloads, and we'll just throw those massive chunks into their truck, and they will throw those massive chunks directly into their boiler. Green, unsplit, you know, both of their boilers are about 4 foot by 4 foot boxes. Now the doors are a little smaller on those boilers, so you got to be able to get it in the door, but the boxes themselves are 4 by 4. So, you know, when it comes to limb wood, I'll saw those 3 to 4 feet long. And not even split it. So if you guys see any sticks in the wood yard here behind me, like this one, that garbage up there at the top, that will just get cut down into poles that they will then feed. Both of them have somewhat of an inefficient boiler. The older models, the old school boilers that you could put a water balloon in there and make heat. And so they go through quite a bit of wood, especially in the winter. And the water stoves or boilers, these are year-round items for them. So they feed these every week, even in the summer, because that is not just heat for them, it's also hot water. My buddy Vince, in the winter, I mean, he backs a 12-foot trailer. He's got a million trailers, but 12 foot, 18 foot, 14 foot, he'll back the trailer up just completely mounded full. It's got to be between 1 and 2 cord of firewood, and he just loads that thing twice a day, once before work, once when he gets home. And I mean, he will work a trailer load of cookies and nasties in the matter of 5-6 days. The trailer's empty, and he's ready to take more wood. So I don't keep trash here unless I just want it, which is never. I will stack it up, and once I have an exit for them to back into, we'll just toss it in there. Here is some leaves from the hickory. Just saw those. That is the pig nut hickory leaf. But I believe I have rambled long enough. I will get caught up in the chat. Jordan, +1 for the sweet gum hate. I don't blame you, brother. This stuff is nasty. But I'll tell you what, man. When your wood yard is empty, if you do decide to pull the trigger on a wolf ridge, Jordan, and your wood yard is empty, you'll take the sweet gum. Maybe I'm wrong, but you'll get this splitter and you'll be like, yo, I need. Here's the thing. I collected wood for 3 months waiting on a splitter. I probably had 8 or 10 cord of wood that was like already bucked into 16-inch rounds, because I was like, oh, I want to get ahead. I'm going to get the splitter. I want to have food for it. I mean, I just shredded through that stuff. 2 weeks. And again, I'm a weekend warrior. I'm an evening warrior. I have kids that they're in sports and gymnastics, dance, jiu-jitsu, baseball, soccer. We're all over the place. So, 5 days go by. Sometimes I don't touch this. Sometimes I'll come out here an hour after they go to bed. Sometimes, they'll go to the pool and I'll get it in. I usually try to do a little something on the weekends. And again, they're out of town right now, so it's making it easy for me. But yeah, I still ripped through that stuff, Jordan. So I'll be interested to see if you decide to pull the trigger on a wolf ridge, if you still would turn down the gum. But yeah, gum sucks. It does. I'm not going to sit here and try to sugarcoat it. Let's see what else we got. Hickory can be a bear. It's so stringy. You got that right. Oh, I'm way too far back. Thank you again, Rob, about the Xing out of the chat and hitting me with that like. I really appreciate it, and it really helps. It really. Pecan for smoking meat. You nailed it, Rob. That tree man hooked you up good. Yes, he did, Jordan. I still don't know if that is a tree guy or a land clearer like grader. I really don't know, but that guy, he saved my number. He said, he works probably 45 minutes to an hour from me, and he was like, I'm in this area, but not frequently, so I'll save your number. I told him, if you get another load like this, I'm your guy. Hogs Logs, what's up, Mike? Morning, Britt. Let me some hickory. Shag bark is my overall favorite. I agree. If you told me that I had to pick one, I would pick shag bark. We just rarely get it around here, and it grows around here. It just doesn't die. A lot of shag bark out in the woods just doesn't get cut. A lot of pig nut seems to be, in people's yards or on the edges of yards, ends up failing or whatever, gets taken down for those reasons. So I cut way more pig nut than shag bark, but I would agree with you if I had to pick one. White oak and beech are in his top 3. Hickory, well, I'll tell you what, Mike, that is a home run slam dunk lineup, brother. A lot of people know this, some people might not. Oak is in the beech family. That is why beech burns a lot like oak, and or oak burns a lot like beech, and that's why people like beech. It's a great wood, great BTUs, and all oaks are beeches. Beech is the only other tree, simply because it is in the beech family. American beech is the one that will also show medullary rays. I did a video a while back of how to identify oak, whether it be white or red. That's neither here nor there, but you can identify any piece of oak at any age, any stage, with no leaves, with no acorns, with nothing other than the wood, not even the bark. And that is by identifying the medullary rays in the end grain. The only other tree where the medullary rays are evident, like oak, is beech. And that is because oaks are beeches. All them dumps. You got that right, Jordan. Jordan, where do you get logs? Where do you get wood? Old man in the shop, not bought, not built. Listen, built, not bought. Where do you live? Because when you talk about getting a lot of pecan, I pray for pecan. Because here's the thing, the guys who smoke with pecan, that's just what they want. Guys that are, smoke with hickory, oh, you don't have any hickory? Well, do you have any pecan? No. Do you have any oak? Sure. Guys that smoke with pecan are like, oh, you don't have any pecan? I'll call you later. Those guys, I mean, you've never met a team of people more loyal to a stick of wood than the stick burners that burn with pecan. This is my pecan. And so when you say that you get a lot of pecan, my little antenna goes up, and I think to myself, you must be from Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, like that area. How far off? Herbal, am I saying that right? Airball. I'm not trying to butcher it, I promise. That is a Fiskars. That is a Fiskars X27 splitting axe. Good eye, brother. Tree service is nasty, Jordan, but it is the best because it is free. I want to see if old man says where that's at. Old man in the shop, built not bought. What is your name? I've tried to pair your screen handle here with a name, and I have struggled with that. But I appreciate all the support on my channel. You're often there, and I noticed that. So I would love to know you by name, unless you just want to be anonymous. People have no idea how long it takes. Dude, you're right, Jordan. Anybody that does firewood does it because they are a wood hound or because they heat with wood. They are not doing it. I mean, this is almost charity work. For what I do, as for a living, if I needed to do something else, I would just go to work and make money there. I do this simply because, it's an addiction that I cannot explain. Caveman, it's built into us, I guess. And some people express that gene and some people don't. That's how I see it. Still got my oil changed. Still going, Craig. Got the oil change in the pickup. Love it. We're winding down. Look, Craig's been gone for an hour changing the oil, and he's still, whatever this crown thing is, he's still number 2, man. This guy's just crushing it. I don't even know what that means. How do I feel about pine and box elder? Craig, I'm very objective about all wood. Now, obviously, there's some subjectivity here with woods that are special to me, like hickory, ash, because ash is cash, cherry, because I love the smell of it. These are more nostalgia type woods, but I try to be objective about it. And when you ask me how I feel about it, would I turn down loads? No, I wouldn't. As long as I have room in my wood yard and I don't see something coming up the pipeline, I don't want to be able to I don't want to turn down a load of hickory because I have too much pine. But I love pine. Pine burns great. My neighbor loves pine. A lot of you guys have met him on the channel, Steven. He collects pine. He burns exclusively pine, and he does not care if it's rotten either. He burns outside in his fire pit. You could give him a piece of pine that you could crumble it up into mulch and put it in your flower bed, and he's like, yeah, hand me a lighter. That guy's built different. I like pine. Box elder. To me, box elder burns a ton like pine. It is a maple, it is a hardwood, it is a very soft hardwood. I will say box elder is the only wood that I don't find a pleasant smell to. A lot of people think oak stinks. I love the smell of oak, and I can see why they think it stinks, because red oak does have that funky smell. I'll split, 2-quarter red oak one day, and I'll walk outside of my garage the next day and I'll smell that funk. But to me, I like the smell of that. Box elder is the one wood that I don't, and it's not disgusting, don't get me wrong. I'm not like, oh, I hate this. It's just the one wood that I don't find has a pleasant smell. Otherwise, burning it, I feel like it dries quickly. I feel like it lights very easy. I feel like it has a great flame. I think box elder, I mix box elder into my bundles the same way I mix poplar or tulip poplar into my bundles. It's a lightweight wood. It is wholesome in a good fire. Is it going to give you all the heat? No, but oak will give you heat, so mix it with some oak. This will give you lighting power, starting power, flame. Oak fire is a very boring fire. It's a warm fire. If you're looking for heat, then that's what you want. But it's not a fun fire to watch. It's not a fun fire to roast s'mores over. A million other woods are good for that. So I treat box elder, which is the lowest BTU maple, I treat it like a poplar, and I welcome it. The thing about box elder is it is a water-loving tree. You often find them growing on creek beds or near low-lying areas that are very wet, and it grows pretty gnarly. So you can get a lot of good wood out of a box elder, but sometimes you got to work for it. There's a lot of twisted, gnarly box elder. I actually took down a box elder to build this shed you guys see behind me, and it was leaning. I bet you it was growing 45 degrees out of the ground, so I had to take it down, and it was pretty uncomfortable because those trees will barber chair. They're pretty. It's a hardwood that's very soft, and then you take it down depending on the time of year. The sap's running or it's dry, and it had such a lean on it. I ended up doing a bore cut and then clipping the trigger, and it was perfect. I did a video on that, but yeah, I welcome box elder. You're not gonna hear me badmouth many species. I try to stay objective about them and just know that they have their place and their time. Box elder is a phenomenal wood. In September, when you're like, God, I do not want to get this wood stove started up, you can have a 40-minute fire and your house is good for the rest of the day because you just want to knock the chill out. Stopped about a half hour ago, but more is coming. No wood hounding for me today. Rob is just sitting inside, looking out the window at the rain. Hey man, rainy days are important too. Just hate for them to be on the weekend. Why can't it rain while we're at work? Pine is good for campfires, and I sell Girl Scout camp. That's what they want is pine. Jordan, you say that, we call it campfire wood, and the reason we call that is because a lot of now don't get me wrong, I don't have any accounts, federal or state, but a lot of the state parks or the federal parks want you to burn softwoods like pine. I'm not gonna say outlaw because I don't know like the rules behind it, but a lot of them will not allow woods like oak because they are prone to stay lit long after the campers are gone and blow coals around and possibly start forest fires. So a lot of the state parks, if you are ever buying firewood, like going into a state park, they're selling softwood, and they're doing it on purpose. It's not just to make money off of a lesser quality tree. It is because they do not want coal beds burning for days on end and then wind gusts coming in and taking them. So yes, that is campfire wood for sure. Would I put it in my stove at the house? Absolutely. In its place and time. Craig's local dump is open today. I don't know if you guys know anything about Craig, but check him out over at Craig's Cord to Coals. he has this, he calls it the dump. I mean, I call it the treasure chest. He's got this, I guess it's what we, down here in North Carolina, we would call it a stump dump, where all the tree guys take their wood. But I mean, he's pulling out really nice wood out of this place. I mean, it's not just nice species, it's quality. Like, he'll cut, some of these are 16 inches, some of them he cuts. You know, I've watched him pull ash and honey locust and apple, you know, all this stuff. And I see Craig a lot. Another shout out to Craig. I see him a lot in the firewood identification chats that him and I are in, and I'm sure many of you other guys. And Craig is helping a lot of people in that forum as well, identifying. I can be hit or miss on that because I check it every day, but so many people just live on that forum that by the time somebody's posted a species check, it's already been either identified or there's 30 comments of the wrong species, and I don't want to just, you know, make it 10 times worse by adding one more comment. So Craig's out there doing the Lord's work. It's so humid, Rob. I'm gonna need 3 hands to peel this shirt off me. Live tonight, right, Rob? Rob, are you going live tonight? 8 p.m. Central Time. I did not know this. How did I not know this? I remember you saying that you were going live a while back. Is it the first Saturday or the last Saturday? Now I need to get, listen, I can't remember. Rob, do you schedule these lives where I can like go and make myself, like, you know, like Craig does, camp out? What I would say, Rob, as a preference, and I don't do this to people because they don't ask me to, and I'm not going to spam people, but when you make a live, dude, whenever you go to schedule a live, like earlier than you're going to do it, send me, it says invite people. Send me a link, man. I would love that. I don't want to miss a live that I just didn't know about. And now, obviously, if I'm busy, then I'm busy, but I'm definitely not showing up just because I'm not knowing it's happening here. Just got hooked up with a tree guy delivering to me for free. I'm gonna keep sliding him 20s. Yeah, Rob, that's what I do, man. A lot of those tree guys, they pay to dump, so it's a symbiotic relationship, man. We're doing them a favor, they're doing us a favor. You know, open communication. If the load is terrible, you know, you don't have to say, don't come again. You could just say, hey, the last one was rough. Let's make those few and far in between, please. Unless it's, you know, X, Y, or Z species that I'll take anything of. And I do the same thing, Rob. You get to a point where they continue to come so often that you're not even here, and then you don't pay them anything. But, you know, if I got a guy that knows that I like ash and he could just as easily chip it, I also will just slide them some money knowing whether or not they worked for me that day, because, you know, I have a tree guy who can chip, I mean, hell, he can probably chip 18 or 20 inch trees. So when I see that he brings me a 14-inch stick of ash, I know that he did that for me specifically. Either that or his chipper's broken. Either way, it's appreciated. And so I'll slide him some money for that. Least I can do is buy lunch for the crew or give him a tank of gas. I used to say tank of gas, probably a half a tank of gas nowadays, maybe even a quarter, but yeah, a little cash on top never hurts. Mama's not happy because they had to dump it in the front yard. Listen, Rob, baby steps, brother. My wife was like, why are we doing this? 5 years ago, she's like, this is disgusting, it's ugly. Why are you doing this? And now this atrocity over here, was her idea. She literally was like, oh, you don't have anywhere to put wood? Why don't you put it right there? It gets really sunny. And I was like, well, that's a great idea. I'm glad you had it, not me. And so it was born. Jordan's got 2 tree guys. The landfill charges $40 a ton. They can dump at my place for free. It's win-win. That's correct, Jordan. A lot of people, you know, think that they're doing us a favor, and they are, but people forget that we are saving them on dump fees. And they're making money on the back end because they're charging the client the dump fee, which they should be. I mean, you know, it's that or leave it there. I'm not saying that in a conniving way. I mean, you want this to lay in your yard, I'll lay it in your yard for a certain price, but if you want me to haul it off, I'll haul it off for a certain price. And then, you know, they have to pay for their equipment and their people as well, so they should charge whatever they need to cover those fees, plus their time and effort and machinery. You know what I mean? If it costs $50 a dump, I'm not going to charge you $50 a dump, because then I'm either working for free, I'm not putting gas in my equipment, I'm not, you know, charging for upkeep. So yeah, I totally get it, but it is a symbiotic relationship. We are helping them as much as they're helping us. That guy who dumped all that red oak on me, I had to have saved him probably between, I didn't really calculate it because I don't remember how many dumps. He brought me at least 8 to 10 dump trucks of wood, and I guarantee you I saved him between $600 and $1,000. I think 1,000 is probably stretched, but at least $50 a dump. At least. I don't know if they charge by ton. It depends on where he would have taken it. But what's up, Franklin? Got Franklin Outdoors in the chat here. Yep. $20 gets you priority. That's all it takes, man. And it's just a nice thing to do, man. Especially, you know, if they're not dumping a bunch of rotted softwood out. I've never liked the smell of elm. Yep, I've never been bothered by the smell of elm. Only box elder. But, you know, they call it piss elm for a reason. They'll be like, does it smell like piss? Then it's probably elm. That's what everybody in the firewood identification forum will say. Yeah, wet elm can be bad. Wet wood in general, I mean, I find even this hickory, which I love the smell of, sitting out here in the yard and all the, you know, inches of sawdust, it gets kind of gross as well. Definitely interesting that we like different smells from the wood. It's funny that you say that, Rob, because as a woodhound, man, if I have ever got a species that I do a species video on, if I've never split it before, I always smell it. It's the first thing that I do. Off camera, I run it through my 4-way. I take the top 2 pieces, spread them open, kind of like I do in my species videos, and then I put my nose right up to it and sniff. That is just something I do. I just thought I was a weirdo, but I'm finding out that we all are weirdos. Yeah, I've never sold a stick of wood that I couldn't tell you what it smells like, at least to me. All right, guys, I really appreciate y'all. My battery, I have actually sucked the battery all the way down to like 5% here, and I started fresh. So I've got a bunch more of this to split. I'm probably gonna hit that cold bath for a little while, and then I'll get back out here later on. Really appreciate you guys stopping in. I appreciate all the communication in the chat. You guys are awesome. I appreciate everybody that X'd out of the chat and hit the like button. That helps me more than you guys know. And this stuff is fun. I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy hanging out with you guys. So thank you all for sharing your Saturday morning coffee into lunchtime. Go make yourself a sandwich. You worked for it. See you guys. Y'all have a good one. Damn, this is the part where I know